How's it going, everybody? Smooth Brain Operator here, talking to whoever's listening out there. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I'm coming off being sick, so I most definitely did not have a great weekend, but it was nice enough not to have to worry about some things with work and whatnot. Today, I thought we'd talk about how to make your own Space Marine chapter, right? There's a lot of good ones out there to already choose from. And if you know enough in the lore about all the different chapters and all their little quirks and all their other little things that they got going on for them, then you could either pick from them. A lot of great chapters, can't really go wrong with any of them, to be honest. Or you could make your own. And one thing that I always, for all these second founding, third founding chapters, like the Carcharodons and other such chapters like them, is you want to leave them. The biggest takeaway probably is leave it mysterious. The less you have to explain, the better. Even if you know the lore and you have something you like about it, that's one thing. But if you want to start, getting it out there and seeing about other people's opinions and thoughts on it, the best thing you can do is leave it as anonymous as possible. What do I mean by that? Well, it's like their gene seed, unknown, right? There's plenty of Space Marine chapters out there loyal to the Emperor, but when it says, what's their gene lineage, what Primarch do they descend from, it just says unknown, right? So that way it could be anything. Um, it could be a mixture of some. It could be, oh, I don't know, just any kind of variation of that, right? Just as long as it's unknown, and then founding planet unknown. Are they fleet based? Unknown, but we do see a lot of their ships flying around. So it could be like that. Like, oh, what was that one from the Raven Guard? They're also a successor chapter, but like virtually is nothing is known about them, and they're known. I've heard a lot of fans refer to them as the realistic Marines. They are super duper like strategic and realistic. Instead of them charging into the field of battle, they'll help command troops already on the ground. They'll do sniper uh, missions and oh goodness, what is that chapter? Anywho, they're in like army green and they utilize camouflage. They'll change their armor paint to match the paint of the terrain that they're in. Stuff like that, like actual real world tactics. Um, so there's those guys. So kind of do it however you want to do it. Ultimately, the rule of cool and the rule of fun is the ultimate guiding force. But if you want it to actually make sense in the wonderful, ever expanding universe of Warhammer 40k, you're gonna want to make it make sense. Some people just have a cool name and a cool color scheme, and that's it. Hey, go for it, run it. Um, and then, but like if you really want to make it make sense and be kind of cool, it doesn't have to be super edgy like the Carcharodons, but you could just still have them be successor chapter unknown, but they get along well with the Raven Guard, or they get along well with the Ultramarines, or hey, they like building walls a lot. And it could be Imperial Fist. We just don't know, and we don't have to know since you're the creator. And then for the chapter master, I think a chapter master or a captain is really important to make and have. So you can make your general chapter, right? And that's all cool and one thing. But then you got to have a cool main character, right? You got to have your standalone guy, your Captain Titus, your Marnius Calgar, your dude. And so when making your guy, be careful not to make him Primarch level, right? You can't make him just he stood toe to toe with whoever Mortarion once upon a time, or he stood down you know any Chaos Primarch or a greater demon of whatever. It's a little far-fetched for just a captain or a chapter master. Right now, like, if you want to make some cool lore about him killing over 1,000 Xenos, while defending a village on his own once or something like that, that's a little more believable. But ultimately, again, you don't want him to be too overpowered. That's kind of a big one that guys like, oh, he's the best there ever was. No one's ever fought like him or taken on as many enemies as he has. And it's like, I get it. He's your dude. He's your guy. You want him to be just this force of nature on the battlefield. You want him to be Primarch level. Trust me, I want my chapter master guy to be Primarch level. But at the end of the day, for it to make sense in the lore, that's not the best way to go about it. Possibly a better way to go about it would be that, hey, he once attempted to hold off a Chaos Primarch, right? And maybe managed to block one or two blows and then got sent through a wall. And then his Space Marines had to come save him, right? Or his first company and second company all jumped in on the fight and were able to get him out of there. Something like that, where sure, he attempted to fight a Primarch once, but that's the whole thing about Primarchs, is they are unbeatable, unmatchable. You can't match them. You just can't stand as a standard Space Marine, even as a captain or a chapter master. You can't go toe to toe with a Primarch. You just can't. That's not. Like I said, as a chapter master, you might be able to block one, maybe two hits from a Primarch before that third one just either cuts you in half or sends you through a wall. So, see, that's kind of the power scaling here. You can't be overpowered. But again, if that's how you want to play it, cool. Run your chapter master with, Rabute Gilliman stats on the tabletop or something, and see what your opponent thinks. I don't think he'd be none too thrilled. But point being is, rule of cool, have fun with it, do what you want to do. But if you want it to be able to actually fit within the lore, you gotta have them be believable, right? Be more realistic to what's going on in the universe and all that. And so, number one, with the chapter, as little information as possible. Everything is unknown about them. And two, your chapter master or captain, whichever one you want to make, your main character guy, has got to be believable. Unless you don't want him to be. Unless you just want him to be, gosh dang, here I am. I'm the second or 11th lost Primarch. Here I am, guys. And you could do that too. You could just say, this is one of the lost chapters, one of the lost legions. Come back. Here we are. That's also an option. And then what type of combat doctrines do you want them to have? I don't know about combat doctrines on the tabletop, but as far as do you want them to be kind of like the Ultramarines, a mix of everything? Do you want them to be specific in maybe tanks? Do you want them to be more Terminator based? What are your specific? Does each squad have a very clean layout of 2 or 3 different weapons to help diversify them? Are they all just bolters and shotguns or whatever? What do you want them to have? How do you want them to conduct warfare? Also, big thing. And that one you can get into more detail, because that you really can't go redacted. They gotta have something. They gotta have some type of, proficiency, right? So whether it's siege, whether it's defense, whether it's maneuverability, maybe it's more vehicles and tanks than it is Marines. What's their battle doctrine? What do they like to do? How do they prosecute their wars across the Imperium, right? And yeah, I think I've always had a chapter in mind. I've talked about it in one of my older videos. I might make a new video on it. But yeah, when making a chapter, and then where are they? Where are they in the Greater Imperium? What are they doing now? What is their mission? Right? Like, could be the Carcharodons, could be could be a sworn duty to protect 4 or 5 planets, or a very, very, very small sector. You know, kind of like Ultramar has the 500 worlds. What if there's a smaller sector of 100 worlds that your chapter was uh, honor bound to defend and protect? And they kind of just stuck to their own, maybe. Now, then again, the whole galaxy is aflame right now. I can hardly see any cluster of planets being safe from any type of invasion. So, and then what do they specialize in? Do they fight Orc? Do they fight the Chaos Legions? Do they fight the Tyranids more? What is their more common enemy or preferred enemy? Or do they have a hatred for one more than the others? All that to be said, uh, just build a chapter out. If you like what you like, and yeah, you're just going to be out with it and say, yep, this is the one of the lost Primarchs and the lost Legions. I'm like, hey, have at it. Go for it. Make it. Do it. If you want to be more believable within the universe and just really try to make some actual cool lore, just try to keep things simple, right? Your chapter master or captain could have fought a Primarch, but not stand toe to toe with one. Everything's redacted. Don't know where their gene seed comes from, and just simple stuff like that. But ultimately, guys, just have fun with it, right? At the end of the day, this is a universe to have fun, and I enjoy it for the stories that come out of it, the cool models, and the fact that you can. We're in an ever expanding living universe that's not a dead universe, meaning the story hasn't ended yet. It's still going. So I love it for that aspect. But let me know what you think. Thoughts, comments, let me know. Love to hear from you. And hope you all have a good rest of your day. Work hard, play hard, be respectful and kind to people, and be safe. Until later, Smooth Brain out.